Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Joining me today, as he does every Tuesday-ish, Wednesday-ish, is Jordan Dominic, former Buff himself. Jordan, let's talk defending mobile quarterbacks. Now, that has been something that gives Colorado issues. It's no secret, right? Haynes King had their way with them in week one, and they also had some issues, not to as much of a degree, but Josh Hoover, Connor Wigman at Houston torched them with his legs. Bear Bachmeyer at BYU had a big game with his legs. And so this week they're playing against Devon Dampier. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Devon Dampier, transferred in from New Mexico, honestly reminds me a lot of like a Lamar Jackson, Johnny Manziel electric type of quarterback where you get him in open space. If you don't get him down, he's going to put you on his highlight tape. You're going to be on the mixtape. You're going to be shook out of your shoes. That's just how it goes, right? And he's a little banged up, and there's a chance he might not play, but their backup, his name is Bird Ficklin, excuse me. He is also very dynamic. So, Jordan, let's just talk in general. Defending extremely athletic quarterbacks, why is it difficult, and what do you need to do to contain them?
So the difficulty of defending a quarterback that is able to move, that can use the legs, is that there's a threat from all angles. As a defensive pass rusher, you have to be able to rush the ball while also cutting off escape lanes. If you allow a quarterback to get out, he's going to be able to make a play. He's going to be able to make something happen with his legs. That puts a lot of pressure on the defensive front, and in turn, that puts a lot of pressure on the back end because not only are they covering, wide receivers running down the field, they also have to be aware of, hey, the quarterback can run too. I might have to come out of coverage and make a open field tackle. To be able to guard a lot of mobile quarterbacks, a lot of teams have been implementing using a spy, and we saw that against Caden Salter a lot of this season. That's probably going to be the best way for Colorado to be able to stop a mobile quarterback because they haven't shown that they have a pass rush capable of not only corralling and keeping the quarterback in the pocket, but also being able to reset and also retrace back to the football if the quarterback does make it out. And that's just Colorado just has a decision to make. Who are they more confident in? Whether they're more confident in their D line of being able to corral the quarterback, or they're more confident in their back end players of guarding 4 or 5, receivers with five or six DBs. If you have a spy, you're gonna have to bring a linebacker down from coverage because they do like to drop 7, drop 8, cover 2. They do have a lot of man, principles, and we might see a lot more man with maybe 1 or 2 spies of the linebackers at this point. It's really just a decision for Colorado to decide who they trust more in. And I feel like as a defensive lineman, we should have more trust to know that we could go out there and attack the quarterback, corral him, stop him from using his legs. But the defensive line has not shown that over the past few games. And as much as I hate to say it, they're going to have to bring a spy down to be able to watch that quarterback, make sure he stays in the pocket, or at least gives the DBs time to come out of coverage if the quarterback does decide to run.
2 questions. When it comes to a spy, does it have to be a linebacker? Like, obviously it doesn't have to be, but like, would you rather it be a linebacker or like say it's someone like London Merritt, who's the true freshman that I think he leads the team in pressures, right? He's shown that he has the athleticism. Would you rather do that or would you rather go with a linebacker? And then follow-up question, and this is about the man principles, which do you think Colorado should stray away from their man coverage a little bit to help with containing the quarterback?
So to answer the first question, I would love to see
London
he was
Merritt.
an outside. Yeah, he's an outside linebacker, correct?
Yeah, he's been an
Yeah.
edge rusher for them, yeah.
I would love to see him as the QB spy, but then again, that would bring the defensive line to a 3-man front. And how much pressure can they get with a 3-man front? That would be the main question for them.
Okay.
I would love to see him as a spy, but then again, that would be taking him out of the pass rush, which would now, lead to possibly less pressures on the quarterback to force him up into a pocket and force him to throw.
Okay.
So it's just a game of gambling. Do you
It's
believe
like
in
a
an
game of
outside
like,
linebacker?
what are you okay to give up, honestly, is what it feels like.
Exactly. So he could possibly be that QB spy, and I love the athleticism from him. I feel like he could make something happen with his legs. I feel like he would be a good spy. But then again, do you take the risk of taking him out of the pass rush and now gambling with what you have left?
Okay.
Or do you try to use a linebacker as a QB spy while you have Ford rushing the passer? Because Colorado doesn't have the greatest, pressure ratio of out of D lines across the nation, but they
Mhm.
do have some pretty good pressure. And I feel like if they were to take any piece of it and try to turn it into a three-man situation, or try to take one of their key pass rushers out of the rush and put him more into a coverage situation, that
Yeah.
might backfire against them. So I
Okay.
would honestly go with a linebacker.
Okay.
Now, in the back end man mentality, I feel like they could decide to go to more zone principles and everything like that, which they do at times. But then again, if they were to go zone, that would take another player out of a spy situation, because now the zones are covered. Now you have less people for a zone if you were to have a spy. And imagine you're rushing for, you have a fifth of the spy. Now you have 6 men guarding 5 on zone coverages. The most you could do is probably be like a cover 3 or a cover 2 or 4 under,
Okay.
and that just leaves so many gaps on the field. And I feel like the best thing that they would want to do is to keep that mentality of man with the help over the top and basically just corral them down to short yardage. They would have to get a good QB rush. They have to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. They have to make the quarterback give the ball up. They can't let him run. They can't let him get out. They can't let him move his feet. So it's all going to come back down to the pass rush and the pass coverage working together.
Okay.
Um,
That's
yeah.
great. Great. It's great. I mean, that's what we need to know. And I wonder if it changes, like say Dampier's out, right? He's the
Mhm.
veteran. I think he's the more dynamic of the two in general. True freshman making his first career start. What do you do on defense then? Like what strategy would you go with? Would you go strictly man or zone? And like just what would you do if you were calling the defense?
So until he shows us what he can do as a defensive coordinator, me myself, I would throw 5-man pressures at him.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about a quarterback spy. I'll worry about 5-man blitzes with a man coverage and see if he can actually make something happen with his feet.
Okay.
Um, if he does end up making something happen, we'll have to adjust. We'll have to treat him as he comes. So if he is a mobile quarterback that can make stuff happen with his feet, we'll have to go back to the man coverage with a spy on the back end. If he's more so able to check out of it and make quick, decisive passes, we would stop with the 5-man blitz and just go with a 4-man coverage, with a 4-man pass rush and a 7-man coverage.
Okay. So really just depends on what he shows you, right? If he's just
Yeah,
slicing and dicing, then you got to make an adjustment. But if he shows he gets a little nervous in the pocket, it's like, okay, we're just going to keep pressuring him to death, right? And
exactly.
that's just sort of the mentality you have to have. Okay, that's Jordan Dominic's lesson, Professor Dominic over here on defense, right? Professor Dom. We're going to take a quick break, and then Professor Dom is going to tell us his 3 keys to succeeding off of a bye week. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. There's tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it, but let's be real. Actually getting the tickets, that could feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. Welcome back to Locked On Bucks. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Jordan, Colorado had a bye week, right? They're coming off a huge win over Iowa State, which feels like a long time ago. And that's the weird thing about bye weeks is like
Hmm.
it's like a cool thing because if you go on a high note, it's like awesome, but like how do we keep that energy going forward? Or for you guys, I'm going to bring up a very salty memory. I apologize, but you guys went on the bye week after the Stanford game, which was
Hmm.
obviously a very tough game. So you had 2 weeks to think about that game, basically. So Colorado has 2 weeks to think about a win and to also be ready for one of the better teams in the Big 12. So what are the 3 keys sort of handling the bye week?
So the first thing you need to do when you go into a bye week is rest and recovery.
Mhm.
No matter what, that's the main thing. That's the first thing that you need to worry about. Get your body back right. It's been a long season. This is your time to actually recover. Go get into the Normatec boots. Go get into the hot and cold tub. Go get your treatment. Do as much as you can to get your body feeling as good as you were when you first got back onto the field. Everybody's feeling it after this point in the season. I know I
Mhm.
was feeling it. I
Okay.
still get clicks in my shoulder at some points, but the amount of treatment I had to do for it was crazy. That'll be the first thing. The second thing to coming back and winning a week is the way that they start. What is the mentality on that first day? What is that Monday like? We talked about it earlier. How are they coming?
Monday looked like it could have been better if I'm being it just
Monday,
based off the video.
obviously, like there's some good stuff that happened out there that we didn't see, but there
Yeah.
had to be more bad than good. And Coach Prime knows this, and he knows, hey, we have to start better. We have to do better. If he could reset the week, he could, but it's just time lost. At this point now, we have to show that we can finish out the week really strong.
Mhm.
So that's the second thing, starting the week off strong. They weren't able to do that, but they do have time to turn it around. The third thing, game plan. How well are you going to be able to go when you go up? How well are you going to be able to game plan for both of these quarterbacks, not just one?
Mhm.
How well are you going to be able to get your players focused back in
Yeah.
to be able to play, the new defensive scheme that they run, the new offensive scheme that they run. At this point in the season, coaches have done a self-analysis of like, okay, we've run these plays in so much of the time. Now it's time to switch up the playbook. It's time to switch up the signals. It's time to switch things up. Not everything is going to stay the same throughout the season. I feel like right now, over the bye week, they were implementing new, not necessarily new, but different forms and different schemes for different plays now on the
Okay.
offensive side and defensive side of the ball. So I feel like we're going to see a little, excuse me, I feel like we're going to see a little bit of
Like differentiation in there.
differentiation. I was going to say like a little diversification of it a little
Yeah. Yeah.
bit when it comes to offensive scheming and defensive scheming. I feel like we're going to see a couple things new that Colorado hasn't done this season.
Okay.
Um, I feel like that's what they were doing over the bye week, was implementing a new game plan with that as well. So do believe that Colorado has been, mainly focused on that. And even though they did have a bye week, I feel like they still do have practices and whatnot. There's not just like, oh, we're off, we're not doing anything. They're still having meetings, they're still having practices, they're still going through everything and learning things.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, at
Yes.
this point,
Yeah.
it's just I feel like we're gonna see a few new things coming up this Saturday that the
Few
coaches
new
game
wrinkles.
plan for.
We like to see it. We like to see it. Hopefully, they handled the bye week well. I do think the hard part about the well-off media videos is like they're only so long. Like we don't get to see the full 2 hour, 3 hour practices. So we don't know
Mhm.
all the positives that happened, but clearly Coach Prime felt the need to be like, hey, let's step it up. So hopefully they listened to Professor Dominic here and followed his 3 keys to success because this is a very winnable game. I think Utah has shown that they are fragile, has shown that they are vulnerable. The 2 times they've been tested this year, they've lost. So I think Colorado could really give them a run for their money and continue to make a statement. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. And we will see you guys next week.